Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Simon Bonenfant. I've recently returned from Houston, Texas, where I had the opportunity to attend the NFB 2023 National Convention. While I was there, I had the chance to sit down with Ed Rogers, Managing Director at Bristol Braille Technologies, and Steph Sargent, a blind user of Bristol's products and founder and CEO of Vision Through Sound, a company that provides training and technological resources in the UK and beyond. Ed and Steph sat down to talk to me about the Canute 360 9-line Braille display. That's right, folks. This display has the ability to read 9 lines of Braille, tactile graphics, and anything else you might want on your Braille display. They give an overview of all the great features this product has to offer, and they also talk about a new product they hope to launch next year called the Canute console. This product is in pre-order, so if you'd like to find more information about that, head over to their website in the show notes. I hope you'll enjoy this interview with Ed and Steph from Bristol Braille Technologies. They're doing a really great job promoting Braille and giving tools for tactile literacy and all that has to offer. So without further ado, sit back and relax and enjoy my chat with Ed Rogers and Steph Sargent from Bristol Braille Technologies. Hello everyone, this is Simon Bonenfant here, and I am in Houston, Texas at the National Federation of the Blind National Convention 2023, and I am here talking to Ed Rogers and Steph Sargent from Bristol Braille Technologies. How you folks doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Fine, thanks.
Great. Ed, do you want to start talking about your role at Bristol real quick?
Yes, I'm the Managing Director, and I founded the company in 2011. We founded it as a not-for-profit, and the aim of Bristol Braille is to make Braille more useful and more affordable. We want to do that because we think that Braille is the best route to literacy, therefore to education, employment and independence. And we do that through the invention and the manufacture of new, innovative sorts of Braille displays. Our first product was the Canute 360. It took 9 years of development. 8 or 9 years, and we released it in 2019. And this was a 360 cell Braille display and the world's first multi-line Braille e-reader. And we released that for a price of around, the price has changed slightly, but the retail price of a Canute 360 is about $3,100 today, which is about 1/9 of the cost per cell of a conventional piezoelectric device. So it's got 40 cells wide, and it's designed to read Braille files from BRF books. That's a bit of quick background.
Okay, and can this connect to other devices, I'm assuming with a terminal mode to it, or not?
That's something we've been working on the last few years, and so now yes it can. It specifically works as a terminal when you're in the command line, and the next step is us building in support for graphical user interfaces.
Okay.
But we've got a new product coming out, which is what we're here to trial, which is the Canute console, but we can come back to that later.
Great. And Steph, what is your role at the company?
I contracted Bristol Braille. I've been working with them for the last six years or more, and I worked as a computer programmer for years, and I've been blind from birth, so I've been using Braille since I was 4, and I think it's the best medium going. You can't turn blind kids out literate unless they can read Braille fluently. And I was asked to demonstrate my special equipment to a guy who'd gone blind overnight, who was the manager of a technical team. And after an hour of explaining things, he said, "It's not what you say that counts, it's the fact that you're doing it." So that's what gave me the idea of starting my own company called Vision Through Sound, and we support a school for the blind in Zambia and a group of blind adults who are now trading and selling their own products, and we found outlets for them to sell them to, and I've been supplying them with Braille slates and loads of other things to enable them to do more.
Great. So you're also promoting the Bristol products through your own company?
Yes, they're on my website too, and I do the lots of demos and train people to use them. It's such a simple device though that it's very easy to pick up. I had a deafblind customer who found where the manual was and was reading it within the hour of being taught what to do.
Wow, very nice. Ed, can you talk about the products that you're exhibiting at this convention?
Yes, well, we're actually here for meetings, so we've taken our products with us, and we're doing some ad hoc demos for people who got in contact with us, because we're here to do in-depth demonstrations, to try some new innovative approaches we're taking for multi-line Braille, because this is the brave new world of multi-line refreshable Braille, and the Canute is the first commercial device out there to be available. Hundreds of people have already bought one, and we're now moving into trying new things, new interactive media. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me describe the actual products themselves first. So I'll leave it to Stefan for a second to talk about the Canute 360, but then I'm also here with a new product called the Canute Console, so I'll talk about that afterwards.
The Canute 360 is a 9-line display with 40 characters per line, and here I've got the library menu, which has got Harry Potter on it and Star Wars, score. It's very good for music because you can display the lyrics and a couple of lines of music all on one page, so it's much easier to read than on a single line display. And maths as well is ideal for a Canute 360. And we've got, for instance, you can do a Pascal triangle by using ST signs and CH signs to form the triangle, and show all the numbers along the base of the triangle. And do you want the sound of it?
Sure.
So this is the startup noise it's doing at the moment. It's doing its first warm-up of the day, so it's doing a hard reset, like a testing mode, and now it's changing into a new page.
And I've got here the main menu, so you can go to a page, type in the page number and press forward, and it will take you straight to that page. Or you can create bookmarks all over your books, so that when you're studying particularly you can go back to the exact position that you want to. And then it's got a list of bookmarks to choose from, so you can jump around the book much more easily. And there's a library menu, which means that you can read all the books that are on the SD card. They're in BRF format or PEF, that's Braille ready format. And Duxbury will also create a Canute sized page in order for you to put them through the translator and then load them to an SD card and read them on the Canute.
Okay, great. Can you describe to our listeners how 9 lines are displayed and how people filter out through that? I know that traditionally with Braille displays, to advance and go back lines, you have to do that with some type of control, but how, for the person that's actually reading this device continuously, how does the operation kind of work for the end user?
There were 3 buttons on the front of the machine. One goes back, and the middle one is menu, and one on the right is forward. And so when you've read the 9 lines of a book, for instance, you can press the forward button, and the machine will start to refresh from the top line. So you can start reading the top line before the rest of the page is refreshed, and continue reading. So it's a lot more pleasurable than having to press a button for every 20 characters, for instance.
Yes, absolutely. And really what I think about this is it really leverages the playing field of what we can read compared to our sighted companions, to our sighted counterparts. I feel like because they have more access to that quick, readily available speed, we should be able to as well. I think that's why you have done a great job into doing that and really making this device work very well for that. Very good. Ed, do you want to talk about the other product that you're talking about at the convention?
Right, so the Canute 360 has been available now for since the end of 2019. We've actually people using it since the summer of 2019, and we've sold a few hundred before the pandemic interrupted matters, and we're getting back into production of them now. So if people are interested, now's the moment to get on the list.
Okay,
We've got the device that we're building now takes advantage of all those machines that are already out there, and adds a dock and a computer to turn it from an ebook reader into an interactive computer workstation. So just a bit of physical description of the 360 itself. It's 14 inches wide, it's 7.5 inches front to back, and it's about 1.25 inches high. So it's most of the displays, most of the actual machine is taken up with the Braille itself. In other words, it's a desktop device. And what we're doing with what's called the Canute console is we lifted that device up. So you can use your existing Canute and buy an attachment to turn it into a Canute console, which is a workstation, and that adds a monitor, which also acts as a lid, and this monitor flips up from over the top of the Braille display and has a high contrast, large print version of exactly the same information in exactly the same layout, so you can trace your finger from one to the other. I mean, people who are working on the same project, or one person is teaching the other, or you're just reading something together, can if they're a Braille reader but not sighted, they can point at the part of the screen and therefore work with that, or vice versa. So you can develop something as a Braille reader for a sighted audience and know exactly what the layout will be. And underneath this device, the Canute console, underneath the Braille display, we have a tray which pulls out with a QWERTY keyboard on it. Now this all runs off an ARM processor. This is a Linux device, and it's initially intended as a computer science tool for people who are learning computer science or just interested in doing it. And the demos we've come here to try, because this device is now in production and open for pre-order for anyone who is interested in it. The demos we're putting on here to get some interest and to experiment with what people want to use it for when we're here at the convention include mapping. So it takes data from OpenStreetMaps, which is very much like Google Maps, and it converts it into a top-down bird's eye view at a scale of about 5 yards to one cell. And then you can move your character around using the keyboard arrows on the QWERTY keyboard, and then it'll tell you where you are. I've gone into a shop. I'm in this building, and that's all done automatically. We've got a match replay, which can replay games of football, both soccer, or it's possible to do that as well with American football, although we haven't actually released that yet. But you can do match replay. This uses data from the internet to draw a ball and put it on a pitch and move it around. Of course, you can do much more work-related things as well, like just using it for then, because the Canute itself is a Braille reader, but when you've plugged it into a computer, you can then do your programming on it and just write reports as well. And you can draw bar graphs, and you know when you're drawing the bar graph that it looks visually the same and has the same layout as you've drawn it in Braille. So those are some of the things we're experimenting with at the moment.
Oh, terrific.
Oh, and one thing I forgot, sorry to interrupt you, but we specifically for this, because we are in Houston, we have adapted the city map, which takes data, like I said, from the web, and we've adapted it using some data from NASA to create a very small scale map of the moon at the Apollo 11 landing site. So you can trace the footsteps of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. You can see where the flag was planted, where the seismic probe is. You can walk your character around the map and explore these different areas. And that's just a sort of a quick demo we put together. It really opens up possibilities, and we've just been showing these things to people and seeing what the reaction is.
Wow, that's terrific. So are you downloading these special maps? I'm assuming there's some type of file extension that you're putting onto the device, or is that if I had a laptop and I had that visually on the laptop, I could then connect it to it and get it that way, or is it both? Or?
What we're doing for the mapping is you give it a location, a node on a map. This is the website in question is called OpenStreetMaps. You give it a location on that map as a number, and that then generates a map which is about half a mile by half a mile, which you can explore. And as you get off the edge of the map, it refreshes to the next bit of area, up to half a mile in each direction. And that's all can be generated from OpenStreetMap data.
Oh, okay. And then, but that would be visible on another device, and you would connect that to it, or
it works on its own.
Okay.
But there is a monitor which also gives you a sort of visual output.
Oh, so your software connects with OpenStreetMaps on
Right.
the actual device to do
Yes,
this?
well, I mean,
Okay.
these demonstrations, I have been doing this offline because I've just pre-downloaded a
Right,
certain map,
okay.
and because we're still working on it. But yes, you could generate them by connecting the console to the internet and running that to generate a map.
Great. What was the process like in building the Canute when you started Bristol Braille in 2011? What was it like in terms of having this dream that you had and then figuring out how to turn it into a reality? And was there any big challenges that presented themselves? And I'm sure there was in the development, but any that you'd like to specifically talk about?
It's really hard building Braille displays. So the Canute 360, just as Canute 360 without the console extension, has 1,000 moving parts in it, and that's a lot of moving parts for a device that you're charging just $3,000 for. So the process of building that, and of course none of the dots can't go wrong, so you have to build it to such a high quality standard. And you have to do all of that without real financial support, without much in the way of financial support from the industry. We've got a distribution network we're really pleased to work with, but of course the distribution of Braille is not flush with money, so you've got to do things on a shoestring. So we had to develop all the Canute prototypes for probably the cost of the T budget for a HP Labs or something like that. It's a real financial challenge to build this, especially when it's going to take a while before you can scale up. So that's those are the two main challenges. Is really the precision of making that many moving parts work together, and make it work together even when you're building them en masse. And that's the bit that's often forgotten when new projects are started. They build a prototype that works very well, but it all goes downhill when you try and manufacture something at scale. And the other part is just there is very little financial backing for these sorts of things. And we got around the latter part with the help of the Braillists Foundation, which we actually helped set up years ago. This is now a charity, mostly in the UK, but about half of our audience is abroad, and about a quarter of it is from the States, I think. And the Braillists support Braille projects and support people learning Braille, and they support more Braille. That's and we worked with Braillist members who we would come to events like this, and we'd put on our own Braillist events, and we'd all sit down around a prototype that barely worked, and we'd agree what should change, where the buttons should go, what we could do. And that's the only way we were able to do this, is by leaning very heavily on what the community wanted, and by exposing all our different prototypes in every possible state before we, rather than being secretive about this all.
Great. What gave you personally the idea to take this vision that you had of making the multi-line Braille display and turn it into a company? Was there one or a couple things that just drove you to start it up and do what nobody has done before?
Well, I should say for context that I'm sighted. I do read Braille, not particularly well, but I can read it. I mostly sight read. I'm not a very good touch reader. And I didn't have any connection to Braille or blindness personally before this. I actually started it as a personal project in 2008, just coming up with concepts for affordable single-line Braille displays. I wasn't an engineering student, I was just doing this on the side. And what drove me was, I think, just Braille is such a beautiful medium. It's the clarity of what it means. There's no fonts, no typefaces, no sizes, and all that sort of thing. It's just a very stark and clear, a brilliant invention, in other words. And it just felt very wrong that at the time in 2008 and for many years afterward, there was a strong feeling that Braille was in decline and may cease to be taught in many places. And I wanted to try and make some technology which did all we try and do with the Canute is expose the brilliant system that Braille already is, but make it available for modern data, for modern information. So just releasing Braille, liberating Braille from the limits that it's been put in. That's was the inspiration.
Absolutely, that's terrific. I know that you had mentioned the Brailleist Foundation has helped you a lot and given you the support and financial support and things of that nature. Is there a way that people can contribute monetarily or help in some way to further this work that you're doing with the company as a whole or with any of the projects individually?
I should also give, whilst we're here, I should mention where to buy the Canute from, because that, of course, the most important financial contribution, if you have an interest in this, is to consider purchasing one. So our website is bristolbraille.org. So Bristol is spelled Bristol, braille.org, and there's a list of our distributors on there. In the States, our distributors are Dancing Dots, American Thermoform, and AT Guys, but we also have other distributors you can find on the website for lots of different countries. So that's the buying of the device itself, and like I said, the Canute 360 you're about to be available to buy on installment. In fact, that's about $3,100. The console for pre-order, we're only asking people for about half of it up front. Right now, it's about $4,600 in total, or only $1,800 for anyone who already owns a Canute to upgrade their hardware. You can find all that on the website, and we only ask people to pay half of the console cost up front. But in terms of the Braillists, and supporting them and supporting, because we don't ask for donations ourselves as a company.
Right.
We're very interested in working with anyone who wants to support us by supporting a project. So, for example, an organisation, we know some organisations that have funded us some tens of thousands in order to develop a project which promotes map use or enables blind students to work with robotics. So we work with First Inspires, which is an American charity which gets kids doing Lego challenges. So any organisation which can think of some uses where multi-line Braille could really advance their cause, we'd love to work with them. If you're interested in the Braillist work, that's braillists.org, and they do take donations via PayPal, I think, or at the very least, just there's an email address that you can write into.
Okay,
which is help@braillist.com. But most importantly, though, the Braillists are there to help people, not to accumulate money. We do enjoy people contributing when they can. But on the Braillist website, there is a lot of recordings of masterclasses, and every week we do either masterclasses or book clubs, and our general audience is somewhere between 50 and 100 people.
Okay, great. Yeah, we actually spoke with Dave Williams from the Brailleist Foundation, so there will be a podcast that's going to be coming out with him, and I just find it great that you are working together to do this, and I find it very inspiring for me as a Braille reader. I use Braille all the time. I'm a student, I'm a musician, I use it for that, I use it for speaking, public speaking, anything that I do, pretty much, I use Braille in my daily life, and I couldn't imagine doing what I do without Braille. I wouldn't be able to do it, so I really support the work that you're doing. And Steph, if people would like to contact you or learn more about your work with Bristol Braille or also with your own company, can you direct them as to how to do that?
Yeah, my Bristol Braille email is stephanie@bristolbraille.org, and for my own company it's stephanie@visionthroughsound.co.uk, and the website is, without the Stephanie in front of it.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you both for taking the time to meet with me and tell us about the wonderful things that you're doing. I know that the Canute console will be a very great device when it's released, and I look forward to having you back soon when this device comes to the market. It would be great, and I really support the work that you both are doing in advancing Braille, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the convention.
Thank you very much. And if anyone does want to get in that pre-order, it is still open.
Great. Such a great time talking to Ed and Steph from Bristol Braille Technologies. If you'd like to find more about anything they mentioned in this episode, don't hesitate to look at the show notes. All the information that you would need is there. I'd like to thank you for listening. If you would like to contact me to give me any information at all, send me an email at sbonenfant2@gmail.com. That's sbonenfant2@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and have a wonderful day.
When we share
what we see through
each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap
between the limited expectations and the reality
of
blind abilities.
And the realities of blind abilities.